Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks bringing you an update in Bitcoin. I did record this video, by the way, on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. And so you know, we think we're going to make this a regular weekly feature on YouTube. So keep coming back. We'll probably upload it on a Sunday afternoon, Monday morning, something like that for the week ahead. This is an update. Really not a whole lot has changed. I think my last video was about 2 weeks ago. And you can see, if I zoomed in, and I may have another chart for this, but this is a chart that goes back some 7 years. And you can see a very well-defined 5-year channel structure against the 2022 low, project that against that 21 high. And we pushed through this last November of 24. That then put us into a whole nother framework of uncharted territory, whereby I would expect, and still do actually, what I call the full swing. This is a targeting mechanism. It's an objective mechanism, A minus B. In other words, the 21 high minus the 22 low. And if you add that distance to the 21 high, you have the full 100% swing up to 122,433. And that remains a big picture objective. It has remained an objective since we had that buy signal above the channel top last November. Now, in the interim, we had a January high and a collapse with the stock market, really, and the tariff situation back to this channel top. And believe it or not, despite all the intra-week violations, and I use a settlement-based system on the weekly charts, we did not close below the 84,079 channel top. By the way, this number at 84,079 is climbing weekly and is this week, the week of Monday, May 19th, the same number for the entire week. We did not close below the structure that thus maintained 122,433 as a long-term target. And I'll move through this chart. In the interim, if you recall, we had a near-term buy signal above this inside channel. I don't have the exact number now because our basic long-term support is still 84,079. It took all of about 3 weeks to reach our next objective, which is the descending channel top based on the lows that played out in March and early April. And we did close above it 3 weeks ago. And the following week, it held nicely, and we're continuing higher from there. So really, if you're a near-term swing trader, let's say a 2 to 3 week, 3 to 5 week swing trader, you can buy 99,863, dropping a little bit every week. I'll provide you this number on a weekly basis, anticipating near term over the next few weeks, 109,192, which is the high that was placed back in January. That is still the all-time high for Bitcoin. I don't see 109,192 as a significant overhead resistance area. I mean, we may double top here for a week or perhaps a month and perhaps fall back to this channel top. But it is the settlement above this descending channel top at 99,863 that has told me we are likely over the next several months to reach this longer term objective at 122,433. So buying 99,863 near-term swing traders, 2 to 3 week swing traders, anticipating 109,192, where profits can be taken, and perhaps you could play the short side here if you like. But I do see this is still bullish, anticipating 122,433. So for those of you who are more the kind of the near-term investment crowd, you're long above 99,863, anticipating 122,433 in the next. This could be a 2 to 3 month a possibility. Now, along with that, and I think this is even more significant, is this more recently formed rising channel top that spans the course of, with these channels, I like to go all the way back in time. This is about an 18-month channel top. You could call it a 1-year channel structure at 124,079. And so this A minus B plus A, this full swing is an objective. It's not necessarily innate resistance, sellable long-term price ceiling, although sometimes they act that way. But what I think is a longer-term price ceiling is 124.79. And this structure, this 1-year channel top and climbing, is the objective. It begins at 122.433 up to 124.079. It can contain buying on a quarterly, possibly annual basis. We can fall away from here. And yes, there would be a significant buy signal above 124.079 that would result in a more, I would call it an accelerated and increasingly vertical parabolic move. And I don't have the price targets yet on that, but I would get busy as we close above 109.192, which is expected in the coming weeks. This becomes more of a 1 to 2 month likelihood. 124.79 able to contain buying possibly through the rest of the year by that point in time. Anything else? No, this is kind of a repeat. What if we close back below 99,863 in the coming, if we do it this week, and this is dropping weekly, I'll keep you apprised at this point. It would be a weekly settlement below this descending channel top that would tell me we have overbought trade, we have the rejection of a buy signal up to 122.433, and this market can unwind back to 84,079. So if we close below 99,863, and your time horizon is typically 1 to 2 months or so, you may consider either lightening up or eliminating your position altogether with a weekly settlement below 99,863, because I would expect then this 5-year channel top once again as a retest. And it could get sloppy here again. It would be a weekly settlement below 84,079. That would be our next sell signal after the sell signal below 99,863. But the last chart I'm going to show you is kind of the big picture. Even if we were to close below 84,079 at this juncture, I would only anticipate 73,680. This newly formed descending channel bottom, which is based in part on this week's high. So as we continue pushing to new highs, this structure changes, the angle changes. But right now, if we were to fall apart, fall back to 84,079 and close below 84,079 on a weekly basis, that sets up 73,680 as a 3 to 5 week target. This is what I would call kind of your 4-star support, able to contain selling on a quarterly, possibly annual basis. I like it because it lines up well with these former highs, 73,790 back in March of 24. And of course, you've got the 21 high at 68,964. It's all one big area. Yes, if we were to close below 73,680 in the coming months, that would be an indication of a good high for the year and likely bearish continuation. I'm not providing a target because there's no point to it. I will leave us with this chart, which is to say bullish into June, July, August, above 99,863, expecting 109,192 near term, 124.79 a longer term. And that is to say over the next 2 to 3 months, 3 to 5 at the most, 124,079, solid long-term channel top, able to contain possibly annual buying pressures. I'm going to leave it at that. Please click like, share, subscribe. I'll be back next week with another Bitcoin analysis. You have a great week.